Imagine the following scene: a quiet refuge in the interior, where silence is only broken by the corner of birds, is invaded by two guests who act like the owners of the peace. If it was not enough for the mother-in-law to settle with the naturalness of those who pay the bills, the sister-in-law still treats the hostess as if she were the housekeeper. This is exactly what happened to Vera, a woman who, with all the goodwill, opened the doors of her countryside home to her husband's family and is now hostage to a true reality show of bad behavior. It all started with a call of those who already make the stomach wrap. On the other side of the line, Alina Genadivna, the mother-in-law, sounded suspiciously sweet. "Dear Vera, how are you?" Vera's cautious answer was no wonder, she knew that tone well. "And isn't it that intuition was right? You know, my daughter, we're so tired of the city's excitement. Can't we spend a few days in your lovely country house?" The request, in disguise, was actually a veiled order. Vera, between education and the desire to say no, ended up giving in. After all, how to refuse her husband's mother? But what should be a quiet weekend has become a patience test. Alina Genadivna, with her hair dyed with a burfant red and a dethroned queen stance, came dictating rules: where she would put her bags, which room she would occupy, as if the house were a five-star hotel at her disposal. Already Irina, sister-in-law, a woman in his early 30s with the sour humor of those who are never satisfied, wasted no time. Upon seeing the impeccably clean room, he wrinkled his nose as if he had found dust in a palace. "I could have arranged better before our arrival," he let go, while Vera swallows the comment. She knew, for Irina, anything would be reason for criticism. The first day until it passed without major riots. Vera prepared dinner, everyone ate, watched some TV and retreated. Her husband, Andrei, even tried to cheer her up. "See? It wasn't that bad." But Vera knew that script well. "I knew the storm was yet to come. And isn't she right?" On Saturday, early in the morning, Alina Genadivna began complaining about breakfast. "Omelette? Seriously? I imagined something more rustic. How about blinis, fresh cheese, homemade juice?" Vera, with patience already on the edge, responded with a calm studied, "Next time, let your preferences in advance." But the mother-in-law wasn't there to follow rules, she was about to impose yours. Andrei, realizing the tense mood, disappeared to work, leaving Vera at the mercy of both. While Alina spawned on a sun lounge with a magazine, and Irina was flipping through her tablet with an air of boredom, Vera was busy with housework, ignoring the acid comments that flying loose. "Some people just don't know how to maintain a cozy house," Irina said, while devouring the generous portion of roasted chicken that, minutes earlier, had criticized for being too caloric. On Sunday, when Vera recalled that it was time to go back to the city, the two made a face of those who heard a bland joke. "We decided to stay another week," Alina announced, with a smile that looked more like a challenge. "The air here is so good for my pressure." Irina, of course, supported. "Yes, the doctor said I need more outdoors." Andrei, visibly uncomfortable, tried to argue, but his mother was enough to sketch a shred of tear in her eyes to give up. "Okay, they are. But on Friday I come to get you, and there is no discussion." Vera, however, already predicted the worst. When leaving the city back on Monday, it took with it documents and valuables. "Sorry," Andrei murmured on the way. "You know my mother." "I know," said Vera, dry. "That's why I took our passports and the jewelry." The following days were of a misleading calm. Until that, on Thursday, the phone rang. It was Alina, with the same sweet voice as usual. "Andrei, son, the pantry is empty. Couldn't they bring more food when they come to pick us up?" He, incredulously, recalled that he had left enough groceries for a week. "Ah, my son, you know how Irina eats," was the lame excuse. Vera sighed. He knew very well that those two were able to devour an entire supermarket if that meant prolonging the stay. But fate had other plans. On Friday, Andrei received an urgent call from work, an unavoidable meeting in another city. "I won't be able to pick them up today," he admitted, looking at Vera with a mixture of guilt and hope. She said nothing. He just nodded, already wondering what would come ahead. Upon arriving at the country house, Vera found Alina and Irina relaxing in the backyard as if they were in a resort all-inclusive. The mother-in-law, lying on her lounger, didn't even care about disdaining as she saw the little shopping bag she carried. Finally. It's been 3 days since we're here, and the fridge is empty, he complained, as if Vera were to blame for them to have devoured everything in record time. It was the drop of water. Vera looked at them, took a deep breath and knew, at that very moment, that this would be the last time her generosity would be confused with weakness. What they didn't know is that this time the hostess was not willing to give in. Not one more day. Not even a minute. Irina, with a theatrical gesture, threw the rest of the apple that he followed straight on Vera's feet. Do you go to the market? What are you looking at? He spat with disdain, sinking even more in his chair as if the world gave him obedience. It was at this moment that something inside Vera left. 3 years of swallowed humiliations, forced smiles, and concessions that only fed more disrespect. Everything exploded in a single second of crystal-clear clarity. She crouched down, picked up the rest of the ground apple, and advanced toward Irina with a calm that froze the air. Without a word, he stuck the piece of fruit between his sorted sister-in-law lips, which choked on his own arrogance, trying to spit what he could no longer refuse. Alla Genadivna jumped from Schlong, the red face of indignation. How do you dare, he shouted, but Vera had already turned, the phone in hand. After the third touch, a female and professional voice replied, Taxi Express, where can I help? Good afternoon. I need a car. Now. Vera's voice was firm, with no room for replicas. She dictated Dacha's address and kept her cell phone in her pocket before turning to the 2 women paralyzed by the shock. It's 15 minutes to tidy up your things. The taxi will take them back to town. Alla Genadivna paled. You can't expel us. This is Andrei's dacha. It's ours. It's our dacha, Vera corrected, cutting it with surgical accuracy. Purchased with the money we earn. And I have every right to decide who is here and who doesn't. She crossed her arms, the look as cold as the steel. 15 minutes. Or I call the police and record an occurrence for invasion of private property. Irina, finally free from the rest of apple, jumped out of her chair, hatred distorting her strokes. I'll call my brother. He will teach you how to respect the family. Call, Vera shrugged. But let him know that if you don't leave right now, the next call will be for the delegate. The choice is yours. The silence that followed was heavy as lead. No one had ever talked to them like that, much less see, the good, which always lowered his head. The ticker of the clock on the wall sounded like a sentence. 13 minutes, Vera recalled dryly. Alla Genadivna was the first to retreat, the superiority mask by collapsing in pieces. Come on, anger, he murmured, dragging his feet toward the house. We won't be where they don't want us. But, not without first throwing one last poisonous look over the shoulder, as if Vera had committed the worst of crimes, dare to say no. Inside the house, the voices echoed between curses and desperate phone calls. Vera heard fragments of Irina's connection, Andrei, your wife has gone crazy, and the monotonous tone of her husband's answer, which was clearly not on their side. Exactly 15 minutes later, the taxi stopped in front of the gate. The 2 came out carrying bags, their eyes sparkling with resentment. This won't be like this, said Alla Genadivna as she passed Vera. Tell him all the details, Vera smiled, without shaking. Every word. When the car disappeared at the curve, she entered the house and looked around. Crumbs on the couch, dirty glasses scattered, a mountain of dishes in the sink. And at the bottom of the refrigerator, surprise, an intact roasted scam, cheese, ham and vegetables that, according to them, did not exist. Vera released a bitter laugh. For them, emptiness meant only that there was no caviar. He turned on the loud song, wrapped his sleeves and began to clean. Each rubbed pan, each lean surface was one weight less on the back. When Andrei arrived at night, the house smelled cleaning and freedom. I know everything, he said as he crossed the door, his cell phone still in his hand. Mom called. Vera stared at him, ready for the battle. But then Andrei did something unexpected. He smiled. A genuine, relieved smile. You know, I wanted to do this for years. I just didn't have the courage. He pulled her to a hug. Thanks. She arched an eyebrow, incredulous. Are you not angry? Of course. His laugh was contagious. They told me their version, but I know the script. The only thing I regret is not being the one who stuck that beaten throat below Irina. And so, between laughs and a bottle of wine open on the porch, they planned a summer without compulsory visits, without faulty visits, without the constant shadow of the family duty. For the first time in years, the future looked like them and only them.